The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He missed the complete that. He's crazy
Side by
stuff.
side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
What does LionHeart mean? They line up 33 strong in his name. The drivers will compete on the most grueling road and oval tracks iRacing has to offer. And they all strive for one goal: to become champion. We'll witness which driver can push their car to the limit and find victory lane. You're watching the premier American Open Wheel Series on iRacing. The LionHeart IndyCar Series starts now.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the Sunflower State. However, tonight we race under the lights in America's heartland from Kansas City at virtual Kansas Speedway, live on the Global Sim Racing channel. It's the LionHeart IndyCar Series, American Cancer Society Race for the Cure 150 for the virtual Kansas Speedway. Joe Pete getting us rocket, Evan Pasoko, Sean Ambrose keeping you rolling tonight as we welcome you into the GSRC booth. And Sean, Indianapolis has taken up about a good month or so with first the Indianapolis 500 and the Grand Prix of Indianapolis just 1 week ago. We're back on track and we're right back to the bulk of the oval schedule, an intermediate racetrack in a Kansas Speedway tonight. However, this one, much like all the ones we go to, has its own characteristics that will make tonight's 100-lap affair an interesting one, to say the least.
To say the very least, Evan, yes, and welcome to Kansas Speedway, where you'll be looking at about 20 degrees of bankings in these very, very fast corners, all four of them tonight. The temperature is low here tonight, Evan, which means these cars are going to generate a little bit more horsepower than we're used to seeing on a hotter track. And I got to tell you, with about 3 to 4 different really good lines around this track, it's going to be anybody's game tonight. It's going to be wide open. We haven't seen this in a little while. And going to be some very tight racing around Kansas Speedway tonight, sir.
And it is an exciting race again. We are on tap for 100 laps, 150 miles start to finish on this one. It could be a long race, it could be a short race. It all depends on how the field of 28 plus gets down through 1 and 2 for the first time. That will give us a good look of how this race will go. To give us a look at how to navigate around this Kansas Speedway, we take a look at our track guide for Kansas.
Hello, this is James Krahula in the GSRC Delar DW12. I'm going to take you for a lap around the Kansas Speedway. Qualifying here at Kansas will be very straightforward. The goal will be to take the shortest way around the track, which will be the yellow line. With these cars having so much downforce and this track being so fast, you can hold that white line for the entire duration of the track to get the lowest time possible. Now, as we head into a run with other cars, we are going to definitely be experiencing pack racing. These cars are staying together a lot more than they have been in races past. So instead of a few laps of close side-by-side racing and then singling out, look for that to happen much, much later here at the Kansas Speedway. Now, the middle line will be the preferred line, though the bottom line will work. It is a lot easier to get bogged down on that bottom line, though. As the tires start to get worn out, tire degradation does play a big role, so while you might still be around other cars, you might see cars start venturing up into the higher lanes, maybe even that third groove as the run goes on, to try and keep their momentum up and keep it flat-footed through the turns. If you're able to keep your car out of trouble, put it in the right positions, and not get caught up in the big one, you might just find yourself in victory lane here at the Kansas Speedway.
Back topside at the Kansas Speedway, those are some of the key things that these drivers are going to be taking a look at tonight as they try to navigate from the green all the way through the checkered flag. Again, Evan Pizzoco, Sean Ambrose with you, our director Amjad Yaman, pushing the buttons and getting us on the air. Sean, qualifying just now beginning. As always, it is single car qualifying, individual laps 2 at a time to set the grid right now. These drivers just have about 4 more minutes to do so, and it's going to be a 28 car grid. Practice was won by Tommy Ryan, James Krahula, those 2 drivers topping it. No surprise there.
No surprise there at all. Certainly, unacceptable racing. Always got to watch out for those guys. And right now, Krahula sitting on point here early in qualifying. But, some things to look out for tonight. Tony Lurcock wins last night in the practice race. Pretty interesting race there where I believe about 17 cars started. I talked about the 3 to 4 really good lines around this track. It really depends on how you want to treat your car and how long you want to let those tires hold out. Because I got to be honest with you, it starts to fall off pretty quick if you're real aggressive with your driving line. And also, we talked about the horsepower. The push is real here tonight, very real. You get a good run on somebody, and you're in the right spot. It will suck you right up into that wall every time, Evan. Gonna have to look for that tonight. You will see tremendous runs through the turns, through the not very straight areas of the track, but through the front stretch and down the back stretch, and about a 35 to 36 lap fuel window tonight. So these guys will be running wide open for quite a long time before they'll need to get into those pits.
And with that 35, 36 lap fuel run, that's going to put you on par for 2 stops. That should not make fuel a major factor unless the caution flags come out at the right times. Guys come down at that time, and that might throw a little bit of a wrench into things. But if not, it is fairly simple as far as the fuel strategy that these drivers will take into this event. We're coming off of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Indy was swept by Michel de Jong with 2 wins on the Indy 500, followed it up last Wednesday with the win on the road course in a Race Center 93 at Indianapolis. He now becomes the only active driver in the series with multiple wins. He sits atop with 2 wins. Everybody else that has won that is still actively in this competition: Rick Music, George Anzaldo, Jake Wright, Jesse Vincent, Jonathan Goh, all of those other drivers with 1 win. Daniel Roper picked up 3 early, has not continued on his championship hunt after receiving a suspension a little bit while ago. So where that puts us now is it is still Jake Wright's championship, and he's top 5 and top 10 in these guys to death. In 10 races, he has only finished outside of the top 10 twice, and half of those races, he's been one of the 5 best cars. You see him atop the pile, it's not even close. 119 back to Joe Branch. Michel de Jong making great strides, but still 135 out. Krahula's 150 back. Joe Hassett loses a spot last week. He drops to 152 back inside the top 5 still. That is a lot of points, though.
And we talk about the points. There is another little championship that they're running for, and that is the guy with the least incidents. And if you look at what we were just talking about, Jake right now sits with only 5 incidents, 10 rounds through this season right now. Right behind him is Michel de Jong. Now, he has only run 7 races.
That's 4 incident points, 1 piece of contact. So he's having a great average of keeping that car clean.
Oh, it's incredible. Now, some would question, well, he's at front. He's out front. Well, he's had to race through some traffic as well. There's always trouble to be found. Not to mention all the road courses that we've run. You know how easy it is to pick up a 1X, 2X there at a road course. So, again, just a masterful run by Jake Wright right now. He's been fast ever since he showed up late last season when they brought him in.
And so with that, the qualifying rounds down to a draw, and we get set to get underway for tonight. It's round 11 of 18 in the Season 3 Championship of the LionHeart IndyCar Series, iRacing's premier American Open Wheel Sim Racing Championship. And let's take a look at the GSRC starting grid as we rack them for the American Cancer Society Race for the Cure 150. Pole position goes to the driver that was 9th in practice, the No Name Racing on the 2nd spot, your championship competitor, Jake Wright, but it's Dan Guerin taking a spotlight tonight with a 25.013, just 1/1000th of a second quicker than that 2070 or championship leader, puts Guerin on pole. It's right in second. Ian Adams will roll tonight from third spot, and Big Joe Hasser will start in fourth position. Tony Lurcock going to find himself in fifth, and sixth is for Chris Lanini.
And starting in seventh, going to be the 66 of Tommy Ryan. Right next to him, his buddy there, James Krahula, Dan teammate, will start eighth at a number 4. And just behind them and ninth starting spot is going to be Ricky Harden, other unacceptable racing teammate there. And just outside of Ricky is going to be the 31 of Tony Shallon, starting 10th tonight. Chris Stouffer in a number 7, he'll start 11th. And the return of Dylan Lee to LionHeart Racing Series, he will start 12th on the outside.
We continue into the back half of the grid. Jason Galvin will find himself in the 13th starting spot. Alongside him, you'll find a 6 of George Ansaldo. 14th, it'll be a 15th for the 20 of Jack Bogan. Outside on row number 8 and 16th to 7 to 9, that's Jason Robarch. Pierre Deigel, the number 14. Not a time in practice. It's good enough for 17th in qualified. Outside of him, going to be the pink Tiger print car of Corey Connor.
Yes, and then the DirtyBlinds.com machine of Peter Edwards will start 19th in a number 16, our race sponsor. Michael Gray in the 888 will start 20th tonight. Joe Branch, 21st in a number 28. Last week's winner in the sweep of Indy there, Michael Dion, he will start 22nd tonight. Didn't quite have the speed to get to the front tonight, but he will be working hard, I'm sure. Brandon Lincoln making an appearance this evening here with the LionHeart Racing Series. Guy's going to let him run, and he's been fast in practice, so we're looking forward to seeing him out there starting 23rd tonight. And then in 24th, Krista Nelson will start tonight. She is in the number 25.
And on cleanup duty at the back of the field, Alfred E. Shepard will start from 25th, a big drop from where that car was in practice. Fifth fastest car in practice is going to get 26th on the grid. That's Vincent Blumenthal. Robert Bloom, the final driver to put down a time in 27th. And as well, throughout the field, Mark Goodwin will take the 28th spot on the grid and round out a 28-car, 14-row starting grid for this evening's event. To save lives, every step counts. In the fight against breast cancer, your donation funds groundbreaking research and vital services like free lodging, rides to treatment, and around-the-clock access to emotional support. Tonight's race sponsored by the American Cancer Society, the official sponsor of birthdays. The pace car down and away. We're glad to have you with us on the Global Sim Racing channel. We get set to get underway. We do so. Green flag flies, and we are green from the Kansas Speedway. Dan Guerin, no problem getting that Sinclair Tractors machine down to turn 1. The fight, though, for second. It's a good one, and Jake Wright on the losing end of it all the way back to fourth.
Yeah, and Ian Adams, the real winner there, he comes from third up to second and gotten a heck of a run coming on Big Dan Guerin right now. Going to try and make it work up top. Oh, wheel to wheel almost right there. Already fighting in lap 1.
It's going to be side by side for your overall race lead. 1 lap in the books at a time of 29.4. Those speeds going to pick up to about 25 seconds per lap once these guys get up to full song, as they already are. 214, the lowest speed. Those guys battling for the race lead hit, and all the pink cars up inside the top 5. Again, everybody in continuing support of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is still Dan Guerin. Won that challenge out of 4 the last time by to continue to lead. Ian Adams stays locked in second. Joe Hassard up on the outside of the racetrack. We'll ride on board with him as the night goes on. And the Big Joe Show onboard camera. He holds up top. Jake Wright thinks about the bottom. Doesn't do anything with it. Now trouble behind your race leaders. Caution flag will fly. It's a big accident in 2. Robert blew it over the radio. He wants to know how he made it through it. Other drivers not as lucky as the caution flag comes out. This one is going to start in the turn, and it looks like the first driver to have some major problems. Michael Gray up on the outside of the racetrack. First guy I see sideways. He receives a little bit of contact from the Verizon entry just behind him. That looks like it's Joe Branch's number 28. Slides up the track a little bit, gets into Michael Grayson. That car breaks sideways. You ride on board with Michelle DeYoung, back-to-back winner in the series. He gets collected as an incident happens in front of him. Nowhere for him to go. Track gets blocked. He picks up about 4 or 5 cars. Caution on lap number 3.
Yeah, and DeYoung's car took quite a beating right there. A lot of damage on that machine as he sits in the pits right now. It could be a few minutes, and actually he's out of the car and left the server here, Evan. Michelle DeYoung, I guess too much damage to repair, decides to bow out on this tonight.
He resigns a collective sigh through the text chat over the game, and obviously maybe have seen that car is just too damaged to get it repaired. Goes back, obviously taking that virtual tow, and his night is done as he manually disconnects from the sim. That should have put him 28th out of 28 cars that started this one. Brandon Linkaman, another driver that you were talking about, Sean, there on the grid, making a start tonight. Another one of the cars sporting pink, that number 73 Chevrolet, a big part of getting collected in that incident. He is down pit road getting some extensive repairs. Meanwhile, guys like Mark Goodwin, Robert Blewett, Michael Gray, Joe Branch, all coming down to get some minor services as well as fuel and tires.
Yeah, several cars mixed up in that there. Krista Nelson, one of them too. She's sitting on the pit lane with what looks to be quite a bit of damage right there. They might be able to replace that front wing, but again, pretty significant damage it looks like on that car, and she's still sitting there right now, so doesn't look to be an easy fix, unfortunately, for Krista.
And so with that, things get slowed down early here at the Kansas Speedway. Dan Guerin had no problems holding on to the race lead from the top spot. Took off, had a challenge, but was able to do it. And we saw 2 wide up at the front, but it looked like a lot of guys, Sean, were actually taking the outside as opposed to the inside, and not the outside like you would here in a stock car where you're forced to go all the way up against the outside wall, but they're not hugging the white line, and that was the place to be. Just a lane or two up, as you talked about. 3-4 lanes available. These guys early trying to figure out which lane they want to take it as the progressive, dynamic changes that we see on this racetrack progress through the evening as it starts to become a regular thing in the sim, and we start to not think of these dynamic racetracks as a new feature. As those continue to progress, the racetrack conditions will continue to evolve as the race goes on. That line could very well change, so not only do the drivers have to be on top of their car as far as how hard they're driving it, they need to stay in front of this racetrack so it doesn't change and give the race away from them.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is, the track temperature right now looks to be about 78 degrees, Evan, and it carried over 50% usage from practice and qualifying, so the rubber will lay in. I mean, we've got several laps here under us from practice and from qualifying, and that's going to definitely affect these cars as they get deeper into the run, and you'll see them get loose for sure as they get deeper into the run and get lighter on fuel and those tires start to go away. It's going to be a side-by-side battle all night. And I was watching you talk about that higher line. Unacceptable Racing, LionHeart and Krahula, they were all working up there on the outside, chasing down Lanini there just before we had that caution flag. That was the battle I was watching. Lanini keeping it tucked down inside. Got some wear on those tires already. So on this restart, look out. As those guys from Unacceptable Racing were running a little bit higher line, not digging quite as hard here. They look to get the jump on Lanini with this restart.
So the lights have been extinguished around the virtual Kansas Speedway as well as out on top of the American Childhood Cancer Organization Ford Mustang GT pace car. So we get set to go back green. Lap number 7 will go into the books, and we'll begin lap number 8. Dan Guerin still will be at the helm for this one as he paces down the back straightaway. So they get set to go back at it, and again, as per league procedures, these drivers lined up single file, which means that it's not going to eliminate the battles off of the first lap here like we saw on that opening lap. But Sean, this is the point where if you're back a couple of spots, these guys will really get spread out into groups of cars. 4 guys together, 5 guys together.
Yeah, you're going to see that here. Once they get into a nice green flag run, that's exactly what's going to happen. These teams will work together, look to save a little bit of fuel, keep the car on the track just as long as they can, Evan.
Pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn, get down and out of the way. Dan Guerin sent to go up top. He's in control. He's on the loud pedal. Green flag flies, then back and away we go. And a great start. Lock, stow, intent with that number 3 of Ian Adams. Right up behind him all the way to the outside wall. A big arc down to turn 1. But a great restart for the number 3 machine. Keeps him right there plastered up in second. First challenge on the racetrack is for 7th. Ricky Harden wants it on Tommy Ryan. He can't do it. And it's James Krahula to the bottom of the racetrack to turn 3. Door gets shut by the 66. He goes again.
That's teammates fighting right there, folks. And Stouffer with a really nice ticket to the show right there. Tony Shallen sucking right up behind him there, and looks to be Jason Galvin in that mix too. So nice battle going on between those 6 cars right now, Evan.
Way out of the gas as they come out of the corner to number 7, Christopher. He's got to back it down. And meanwhile, those teammates continue to agree to disagree. Top side this time for James Kahula. Tommy Ryan was on the bottom that time through. 66 has shut the door on the 4-1 2 times in a row. So Kahula going to compromise. He goes to the outside of the racetrack. Outside has worked. How effective can it be as these guys continue to fight? And as they duel, it's going to allow the drivers behind them to catch up as a beautiful crossover from Kahula. I think that's going to be enough to give him the position. They go side by side to turn 3, give him the spot.
Man, that is quite a battle going on right back here right now. Ryan giving up position there, maybe just lifting a little bit there. But in this mix, Chris Stouffer looking to get around and get out of the way. He doesn't want any of this right now. What he wants is in the clean air.
Still on the top side of this, Tommy Ryan is taking in the view, and it's the 7 car who follows Krahula through. Ryan going to go back to the bottom. Now you see that 05 of Ricky Harden making it side by side. A lot of team cars in this mix. The fight back for 10th. Meanwhile, it's 2 wide, maybe 3 wide for the race lead. Dan Guerin credited with leading the race that time by the start-finish line. Joe Hassard off by just 2/100ths of a second. You'll see them go down the back straightaway. The top 3 all over each other. Hassard, nothing working on the top side quite yet, and it's Ian Adams in that number 3 machine, the 3rd car in line, picking and choosing who's faster, which lane he wants to go with. He's got a great view as you ride on the Big Joe cam.
Well, let's just see if everybody can play nice right here. We are only 13 laps in. There's still a ways to go, so Big Joe holding pretty steady up there outside, but man, this is really, really tight. And we're talking about a couple different factions here in Team Nailed It in the Big Joe show right there.
And Hassert will drop down to the bottom, pop right back up. Even if you're not trying to make a move on somebody, we talked about how quickly these cars get tight. If you're in that opening, that air pocket that guy in front of you is punching into the air, car's not going to be that bad. Problem is that car's going to get really, really tight. So, Sean, even if that 11's not trying to make a move right now, staying out of the wake of that number 8 in front of him, not a bad idea.
Man, that was awful close. Joe with almost contact there with Guerin.
Oh, look at that. 3 wide.
3 wide.
Just as we said, they're trying to play nice. I thought the 3 of Ian Adams wanted to go with Joe Hassert. He had no intentions of doing so. 3 wide again for the race lead, this time to turn 3. Yet again, it's that top lane that backs out first. Not enough speed up against the fence.
And the push. You're already getting it right here when you got that kind of run. This is just crazy, though. 3 wide into these turns already in lap 16. Got a ways to go, guys. Take it easy. Take it easy.
Hassert stays committed to the outside of the racetrack. That fight that we were following for 10th still rages on, but they continue to go 3 wide for the race lead in this one. Dan Guerin has yet to not lead a lap in this most recent exchange. Hassert not getting enough up top, and we talk about there being 3-4 lanes. Problem is, Sean, it's not a car width is lane 1. You move up a car width and it's lane 2. Some of those lanes is maybe half a car length up, which means that, okay, you can say there's 4 or 5 different lanes to run here. You can't fit 4 or 5 cars, though.
No, you can't, and we've already seen that. It feels like you can barely fit 3. 3 is awful close. They're doing it again. Here we go. 3 wide, heading into 1. Backing off there just a little bit is Adams, but still. And you know who's getting a great show, Evan? Jake Wright. Jake Wright's just sitting there watching all this, waiting for one of them to make a mistake. Jake is being very patient right now, trying to stay out of that battle and let those guys just continue to just beat each other up here as we get around here and complete lap 18.
Jake Wright continues to put on a clinic of what consistency means if he can finish right where he sits now. That's 9 top 10s and 11 starts this season. How about Ian Adams? He's finally tired of being up on the outside of the racetrack. Crossover on Joe Hassert. That's the exact move we saw James Krahula put on his teammate just a little bit ago for P10. It gets the 3 to the bottom, and now he drafts with Dan Guerin over Hassert on the outside, pulls back up in front, takes second spot back away. But Hassert committed to the outside. He'll let the 3 double dab down on the bottom, not doing anything for Adams, and he's right back where he started.
Big battle going on here between Stouffer and Krahula right now. And don't look now, but there's Jason Galvin right up there on the outside. And getting around Stouffer. Stouffer having to just let up a little bit there to make it. He almost ran up the hill, and he had to back out of it. And everybody's getting around now, Evan.
You're seeing that outside work. The 05, he's going to get clearance. The 7, Christopher, down on the bottom. He'll slot up in front of, rather behind, the 05. You got Ricky Harden, and then he'll be up in front of the number 66 of Tommy Ryan, though, back down to the bottom of the racetrack. So, although they're not necessarily side by side, they are still running their own lanes, and obviously that's affected by the battle, but as well, a factor in all of that is how they think it's going to be the best to approach this to make it to lap 35, 36, which sits just about 10 laps away before you'll start to see drivers begin to come down to the pit lane, with the exclusion of some of those guys that came down pit road earlier under that first caution flag. Most of them were for damage. A couple of drivers at the back of the pack came down for fuel with that caution coming on lap 3. It's not enough to be a decision maker in fuel strategy quite yet, but if we see it come at a different time tonight, that could be an interesting scenario. So that fight's still going on for 10th, and it looks like everybody migrating up to the high side, Sean, just as they are up front. Ian Adams, the one that ducked to the inside on Joe Hassert. Maybe he thinks the top side the place to be. You watch the battle for the race lead, and it's going to be Hassert at the stripe. Question is, will he get cleared down to turn number 1? Yes, he does. Shuts the door. Joe Hassert to the race lead. Contact as Guerin drives it in. They make contact, and the 8 car slides up the hill and loses 4 spots.
Yes, he does, and he was none too happy about it. Quick comment there, and still watching this battle back here with Stouffer and Pierre Deigel up in the mix now. He's really starting to find his legs here, and the car is really starting to settle in real nice. He's been able to catch up to these guys and really make a run on them.
Oh, Hassert's tight. That's that tight race car up front, Sean. You've been talking about it all night. The 11 way out of the gas, and Ian Adams, no doubt about it. Goodbye, an easy pass as he squeaks by up top.
Trying to get back to check in on Dan Guerin and see if he actually got any damage right there. I don't think he did. Car looks good. A little not off pace. It looks like he's finally got settled back in, but that certainly rattled him right there, Evan, when Hassert made that move.
You know, Hassert was clear when they went down to turn 1, and I took a look at the onboard. The 8 knew that he was clear. I think he tried to squeeze it back to the inside, and I mean, Dan Guerin just drove into him. Joe Hassert made it close, I'll give you that much. The 11, not all that happy with having to hang upside. Oh, contact again! This time Joe Hassert's the one. Gets hit from behind yet again. It's from the hands of Ian Adams in the 3, and the exact same scenario there. I think Joe Hassert just running his line. He gets hit for a second time, and it's going to put Ian Adams to the top spot, and now you have 2 guys inside the top 5 not happy.
Yeah, and Adams just came on the radio and apologized for that. I think he knows that that was a bit of a mistake there. But Joe, no worse for the wear there. Still looking pretty good, man. He's in the throttle right now. He's got that battle going on right now with Big Joe and Tony right now battling. I'm sorry, I lost my place there. But yeah, Adams still the leader right now. Can't seem to quite get away from these guys yet. In fact, they're closing here and closing quick, Evan.
Joe Hassert gets hit in the back from Dan Guerin. Guerin, it looked like... oh, now Hassert tight again. Look out, it's Lurcock on the outside. Man, the handling on that 11, that car got really, really tight, Sean, after he got hit by Dan Guerin. We were taking a look to see if the 8 had any damage. The 8 looks fine. The 11, though, after that first piece of contact, and now a second piece, incredibly tight. He's having major problems just trying to keep that car on the bottom of the racetrack. He falls to 4th, and he's actually losing those front 3 cars.
Yeah, well, we were on board with the Big Joe Show camera right there, and you could see he was really fighting it. Seems to have... hey, get up to the front here, Evan. We got a battle for the lead there.
And it's going to be Lurcock on the bottom of the racetrack. He takes it from Ian Adams at lap number 30. 30 in the books, 31 begins, and it's the 42 to the top spot now. Tony Lurcock has been maybe one of the only names up here inside the top 5 that has not been mixing it up, with the exception of Jake Wright, who continues to just mind his own business. After that, you got Adams, who's made contact with Hassert, Guerin, who made contact with Hassert. Besides Jake Wright and Tony Lurcock, those 3 mixing it up, and Lurcock will lose the top spot as Adams makes the move. They can do this all night long if they want to. We see it all the time at their intermediate oval tracks, is that somebody makes a pass, you make a pass the next time by. They can do it all night long. Big thing is, though, Sean, we're less than 5 laps away from our first swing of a 2-stop night on pit road.
That's what I was just about to start talking about here. Pit stops are in view right now, and this is where the strategy will come in here. I look for unacceptable racing to keep the cars out longer than anyone, as is their style week in and week out, and everybody else to come in first. But we'll see here in just a few laps, Evan. It's heating up, and this green flag run has certainly been fun.
Mark Goodwin, Chris Adelson, Michelle DeYoung, and Brandon Linkeman, the only drivers that have retired so far. All of them are off the lead lap and behind the wall. Everybody else still active on the racetrack is still on the lead lap at this point, all the way through 24th spot and 13 seconds off of the race leader, the 888 machine of Michael Gray in the race setter machine. But back up front for the first time, it is not a cutthroat battle. Ian Adams now beginning to pull away a little bit on Lurcock. It's by design. 42 down to the pit lane, a little bit wide, and I don't know about that speed. Just about took out the code. I had him clocked at 67, and with pit road speed at 45, that could very well be a major penalty.
Well, we're about to find out. That was definitely a hot entry, as we saw there. Caught him there coming down pit road. That car was flying. I don't know if he got it under there.
And he overshoots his stall to add insult to injury, so the problems continue for Tony Lurcock after he led, and it's a big penalty as the number 42. He sits down there for a while.
Yeah, big wreck there. Big Joe having trouble going to the replay right now. Big Joe having trouble getting into pit lane there. We'll watch it right now on the replay.
And he comes down, and it's a very tight pit road. I'm thinking that Hassert coming in maybe at the same speed, and I wondered, did the 8 of Dan Girenshon see the problems that Lurcock had and said, okay, maybe I got to take it a little bit easier. The 11, not knowing that, comes in just equally as hot. They make contact. That's going to cost them both a lot of time.
Well, we're
Dan
on the
Guerin
replay
leaves
right
like
now.
he wasn't hurt.
Yeah, we're on that replay right now, and Dan.
Caution flag.
Oh, and now the caution's out. Wow, everything
and
here
it's Ian
at
Adams.
once.
Your race leader is in the outside wall. Caution flag will fly. And we're under the lights in America's heartland, but it may be from a full moon. Ian Adams, something wrong with that race car. And is this something, Sean, that's just a lapse in concentration? All by himself, you're watching now, down the front straightaway. You want to swing the car wide, he just drives it into the fence. Nobody around him, nobody for miles.
Ooh, and had to take the toe in as well. And, man, that's a tough break for Ian Adams. He had quite a run going there. That car is got a lot of right side damage right now, Evan, and that's going to need a lot of repair to get back in this race.
I can't say I've ever seen anything like that before. He may have had his eyes on Tony Lurcock, who was exiting the pit lane, but again, other than that, there's nobody anywhere near him fighting for a position. Drives it into the fence. I think the caution flag comes out when he comes to a stop up against the outside wall, and he's on pit road, and he is just absolutely revving that engine in frustration. With that, though, those drivers that had yet to come down to complete service, they all come in together under the caution flag. Those drivers that had already completed their entire stop and gotten back up to speed, they will lose a lap. It's Jake Wright that leads us down.
Well, it was certainly an opportune moment to come with that caution flag to come out, but it certainly wasn't opportune for Big Joe Hassert. He loses a lap there on that entry, and so do several other drivers there as we cycle around here. Dylan Lee, Ian Adams, we saw the trouble he had, and Ian still sitting on pit road there getting that car repaired. It's still up on the jack, so going to be a long way back for him, but right now I'm showing after this cycle of pit stops, Evan, looks like to be about 17 cars left on the lead lap right now.
And again, there are no lucky dogs in IndyCar, so via the rules in this series, the only way to get a lead lap back is the old-fashioned way. Well, a variant of that is to stay out. The good news for those drivers that had already completed services right now, they're in between your race leaders and the pace car. Question is, how many of them are still in front of Jake Wright and the pace car? Those drivers would be able to come back to the lead lap. However, they would be all the way at the back, as opposed to some of them who were running up and battling for the race lead. The big loser, Tony Lurcock, scored in 24th position the last time by. He'll pick up a few spots, and he is going to find himself one spot short, Sean, of being one of those guys that's going to get away by. It looks like Deigel, Guerin, Blumenthal, Lee, and Hassert may be 4 names that are going to be given a wave by back to the lead lap. Tony Lurcock not on that list. Neither is Ian Adams. Ian Adams has now manually disconnected from the sim. And I said it was a whirlwind of emotions for Lurcock, who went from leading this race to coming down pit road to having a speeding penalty and looking like at that point all hope was lost. His night's still pretty much in shambles, but for Ian Adams, in the course of a front straightaway, going from leading this race by a good margin in the pit stops, knowing that you're strong, your team's strong on the pit lane, to having just a mistake find you in the fence and now you're gone.
Yeah, man. Would certainly love to talk to Ian here a little bit later to see maybe what happened. You know who else made a really big gain here on these pit stops was James Krahula. He has the fast pit stop out of everybody and gains the most positions right there, and finds himself up in third right now. Pretty good little effort there for that Unacceptable Racing team there in the pits tonight.
Hit the reset button. The next restart going to be coming up with just inside of 60 laps to go from the Kansas Speedway round 11. The American Cancer Society race for the Cure 150 underway for the virtual Kansas Speedway. Lights on for the pace car. Everybody gets the wave by. It will be Dylan Lee getting waved around the pace car. Joe Hassert, Vincent Bluthenthal, Dan Guerin, Pierre Deigel. Tony Lurcock will find himself on that list. He goes from 2 laps down, though, to 1 lap down. Sean, I believe he would need a caution, everybody to come down and for him to stay out or something along those lines to get back to the lead lap. It's a step in the right direction, but still a long way to go. To save lives, every step counts. In the fight against breast cancer, your donation funds groundbreaking research and vital services like free lodging, rides to treatment, and around-the-clock access to emotional support. The American Cancer Society, the official sponsors of Birthday. Join the fight against cancer. Donate now. Go to www.cancer.org for more information. The pace car going to dive down and away for this one. Jake Wright, Sean, somehow, some way, talking about him being on track for a 9th top 10 in just as 11 starts on the season. He would not object to a second trip to victory lane. He's in a good spot right now. He's your control car.
We've seen him get to the front and stay up front. Here he goes. Let's see, Evan.
Pace car down, and again, no hesitation with the single file restarts up against the fence. He dives down to the white line, green flag flies, and back and away we go. Down to turn 1, one of the biggest gaps our race leaders had off of a restart all evening long. He leads in front of Stouffer. It's Krahula, Lanini, and behind him, Tommy Ryan. First fight on track for 4th. Ryan takes a peek to the outside, nothing to brew in there. Ricky Harden takes a nose to the outside. He wants 5th position. Nothing quite yet. Those 3 drivers going to be within 2/10 at the stripe.
I think I found the secret to Krahula's power. See that he's running the Back to the Future 2 paint scheme tonight, and if you look on the nose, if we can ever get our director to focus on it, I see a flux capacitor in that thing, and I think we're going to have to take that thing into tech afterwards and check on it.
Well, he's used it so far to get a 2nd in practice and 8th in qualifying. He wants to improve, though, get the top spot. He's there, closing in that gap quickly, gets up to the race leaders. 3 wide, and hello, Chris Stouffer shoots out to the outside wall. Thank God Krahula wasn't there. That would have been bad. 4 takes advantage. He drops down to the bottom, and Krahula shares his displeasure over the radio about that.
Yes, he does. That was awful close, and Krahula not too happy about it, and it was very aggressive right there. It's very aggressive still to be not even halfway through the race yet, so yeah, that was pretty close there.
And with that little bit of a, checkup, everybody trying to make sure that they stay on track. It brings more drivers into this. So what looked like the most spread out of restarts we've seen all night. Look at that shot in 3 and 4. That's the top 9 cars. If you want to make the math easy, the top 11 drivers within 1 second of each other at the start-finish line. It includes a side-by-side fight for the race lead. Guys going at it for 4th, guys going at it for 8th, but this is one big pack. Everybody's got a shot at everybody until they get green flag laps under their belt. Slowly, this group will begin to spread apart, which is why those guys outside of the top 5 need to jump on this opportunity. I expect to see some aggressive things back there, and it's a fight for 6th. Just as we mentioned that, Chris Lanini on the bottom of the racetrack has it, and it's Jason Galvin all the way topside. The other Jason, though, looking to his bottom, it's Robarge in the 79.
George Anzaldo got himself up to 10th place, trying to look for a move here up top on the outside of Showen right there. And right there with George, he's got to deal with Corey Connor, the other team nailed at entry. And they are, that is some battle that we've got going on right now. George still opting to stay up on the high side right there, taking care of the car, but looking awful fast as he gets up alongside Shawan.
Things getting heated up in front of the field, Sean. When we saw that 3 wide, we saw many a time earlier. They were 3 wide. That car in second in the middle would hold the middle line. James Krahula is outside in the 3 wide scenario. He's there now, and it's not a factor. But the last 2 laps around, Chris Stouffer in number 7 has gone all the way to the wall. You see it there, almost cuts the 4 off again. If the 4 was maybe 6 inches more close to him, that would have been a big accident. And for the second time, Krahula has had to come over the radio. Now race control telling both of those drivers to take things easy. Chris Stouffer, though, figured something out. The Fuzzies machine to the top spot.
Yeah, and you know what? We haven't even factored net code into any of this. You get that close and you run that risk, you know? I mean, we've seen it time and time again here on iRacing. The net code is real, and so is the racing tonight. Really great run these guys are having right now. Keeping the streak alive here. Only 1 caution flag so far tonight. Great racing here so far.
And Krahula crosses the 7 over with vengeance, and he is not giving that up anytime soon. Keeps both of those left side Firestone tires down on the white line. Leads the last time through. Stouffer going to jump up to the outside. That'll be a fight for the race lead. Jake Wright falls to 3rd, but continues to mind his P's and Q's and is not getting involved in all of the action behind him. You find up top side the 66 of Tommy Ron, as well just behind there Ricky Harden inside of the top 5. I told you that those top 11 things would spread out once we got some green flag laps in. You can see the gap, 5 cars and then 4 cars. They're slowly starting to split apart between 5th and 6th spot.
Yes, they are, and I do stand corrected. It's been 2 caution flags there, Evan, but George Anzaldo having a great run. He is working hard right now. Got himself up to 9th. Was able to get around Shawan, and now he has found his way to the bumper of Jason Robarge, or to the wing, if you will, and Jason Galvin right up there in front of him. And that is quite a battle. We got the battle of the Jasons there, Evan. Here comes Anzalo, though. Really I talked about it before, taking care of the car, opting not to dig it all the way into the turn right there. And he's for the better right now. The car is handling really well and has a lot of speed up there.
And those guys were side by side just a couple of laps ago too, so they're no strangers to finding each other on track, and once you get stuck with somebody, you'll be with them for pretty much the entirety of that run.
Big Joe just coming on the radio talking about how it's going to be a while to catch these guys. But he's hanging in there right now. Joe's got a nice little pack he's working with right here, and with a little bit of luck and some draft, and who knows, we get another caution, he finds himself back in this fight. Big Joe fighting right now in 19th place, just 7 seconds off our leader, James Krahula.
And Krahula in that 4 machine still trying to hang on. And again, it's Stouffer. I don't think the 4 are going to give the 7 a benefit of the doubt after they've discussed things a little bit so far on this most recent run. Harden, though, was just in 5th. He was behind Wright. He was behind Ryan to the inside. That car, though, way too tight and almost into that green backstretch wall. He's going to lose 3rd, give it up to Jake Wright. The outside, the 66 stuck behind him. Challenge for the race lead from Stouffer, not enough.
You do not want any of that green paint on your car, Evan, and there is a lot of it to pick up.
And that is turn 2 all the way down the backstretch. They've gotten plenty of close. Look at the race leaders, though. To the inside, Chris Stouffer attempted to go, and Krahula, having none of it, shuts the door again ferociously. These guys battle. 43 laps to go, this time by the start-finish line. And this one still far from over with 22 drivers on the lead lap. You still have an entire cycle of pit stops to go through, and so far from the little bit that we saw in that last attempt, Sean, it might not go green all the way because pit stops overlooked a little bit at Kansas, because Kansas, if you talk about intermediate racetracks, not one of the most difficult pit lanes, but when you're talking about these Dallara Indy cars and the speeds that they're going at and how hard they're trying to drive it in, it has proven to be very difficult. I think we really saw 2 swings at pit road, and both of them had either a speeding penalty or an incident involved on those pit lane entries.
Yeah, 2 swings and 2 misses, so yeah, they're down 0-2 right now with those pit stop entries. You know, they were talking about it in the pre-race about, you know, what was safe, and the advice was to not, to really not not try to do it in a pack and not get anybody else in trouble. Yeah, obviously you want to make a safe entry right there, and we've already seen a couple that were really, really sketchy coming up on this next round of pit stops. And if we stay under green here, that is going to definitely be the battle to watch, because these guys will be digging hard for that final pit stop, looking towards a green flag finish at this point.
Give some love to the guys a little bit further back. How Pierre Deigel up 3 spots right now in 14th position. He's been having a good fight with Robert Blue, and Blue in a spectacular night. The results may not look like it at the moment in 15th, but he's passed 12 race cars to get to where he is right now. Alfred Shepard just behind him in 16th spot. He has passed 9 cars. A lot of guys who at 100 laps at Kansas. You're talking about 100 laps, Johns. I almost feel like 100 laps is irrelevant. The most relevant thing for somebody who needs to get to the field is how many cautions there are, because without cautions, you're not going to pass, 25 guys and make up the 6.5 seconds or whatever it is that they're that far back. That's just the way the draft plays into play. So those guys that have moved up 9 spots, 12 spots, getting up there into double-digit passes, having a spectacular night, although they can't get much further without a little bit of help.
Yep, and help they're going to need. And just wanted to check in on Big Joe real quick, see how he was doing. He's still back here in 19th place, but let me tell you what he is doing. He's staying out of trouble. I've got a feeling we may see a little pit strategy here with Big Joe. I wonder what he's going to do. He's going to look to try and maybe make up some time with this next pit stop, try and redeem himself from that first one. Granted, he's got a lot of work to do, but it's still a long race to go. Plenty of laps to be decided. Big Joe looking to pick up 18th spot right now. Didn't quite pull it off there, but it looks like he'll pull it off to the inside here to Peter Edwards, our race sponsor. DirtyBlinds.com machine. Looking pretty good as we go on board with him on the DirtyBlinds.com camera. Side by side with Big Joe Hassert. Peter gets around, looking pretty good right there. Joe not pressing too hard again right now. Just wants to take care of the car.
And Hassard again got into the back of Dan Garrett. How about look back to that 8 machine? 21st position. But the driver that was leading this race coming down to the pit lane, he got hit from behind. So again, Hassard's had a rough night. He got hit twice from behind. He ran into the 8, coming onto the pit lane, and Dan Garrett left pit road pretty much right after that. I'm pretty sure he came down pit road to see if there were any additional fixes that he could get on that car shot under the yellow. But it doesn't matter if you're a pole sitter. He's back 20 spots to find himself in 21st position. Finally, a change for the overall race lead. Ricky Harden going to go to the top spot in front of James Krahula. You figured it would have been the 7 of Stover who was continuing to press. The Ford a little bit more generous to the 05 though.
We're not seeing anybody pull away tonight. Sometimes in these LionHeart races, we see someone get that clean air up front, and they just kind of walk away from the field. Not tonight. Very, very competitive battle going on up front. And right now, unacceptable racing looking to be a real factor tonight here at Kansas Speedway. Chris Stoker trying to make it work. He's hanging on to these guys. The pit stops are starting to fall. Everybody's starting to make that call.
Oh, Jack Bogan, he's going to miss pit road. There's another mistake and penalty, the 20. Jack Bogan tried to come down pit road, and he just committed way too late. And another problem now, Vincent Bluthenthal spins. Pit road woes continue as the green flag pit stops kick off for the second time tonight, right at 2/3 distance.
Boy, we talked about it, too, and how important this stop was going to be, and looks like maybe not enough practice on that pit stop there, Evan. George Anzalo, he's getting ready to pit. Jason Galvin getting ready to come down pit lane. Watching them come off pit lane right now. That's George Anzalo heading out. Had a decent pit stop right there, George did. Having a really good run tonight. George looking pretty good out there.
But we talked about these mistakes now on pit road. Question is, who makes the next mistake? If you're the race leader, Ricky Harden, James Krahula, Chris Stouffer, you talk about nobody running away. 0.8 of a second, that's very easy to take it easy on the pit lane and lose more than 0.8 of a second if somebody goes hard onto the pit lane. So is it worth a little bit of extra security to just take it easy? Come down, get your service, get off the pit lane, no problem. Jason Galvin right now onto the pit lane right now. He'll exit service done. Alfred E. Shepard exiting the pit lane now. Pete Edmonds down to the pit road. He'll come down for a swing of service. 14 drivers still to come.
Yeah, still a lot of guys need to come in and make that stop. We talked about unacceptable racing, staying out on the track. Ricky Harden, Tommy Ryan, they're still out there. They're still working. Stouffer still in that mix. Jake Wright back in it as well. But right now, Ricky Harden is our leader and looking pretty strong up there. He is hanging tough there, still on the track, and I'm sure that car is getting very light, and those tires are getting very angry.
So how long do you stretch it? We talked about the fuel. The caution came out right after that first cycle of green flag pit stops begin to start. So, caution flag, these guys come down pit road at lap 38. You're thinking if they can go 36 more laps, that's 2 more laps. They have to be coming down pit road sooner. They're going to be out. Ricky Harden in for the top spot. He blows it. Your race leader blows the entry to pit road. Ricky Harden not even close, and he's got a long way back around. Are you kidding me?
And the bad luck continues in this race tonight. What a critical mistake by Ricky Harden right there. He's just got to not be very happy with himself right now. That just cost him the race there, Evan.
Tommy Ryan going to be coming down the pit lane. He comes in from 10th spot. Jake Wright will stay out, and this time Ricky Harden will hit pit road. He'll slow it down, no problems with speed, I don't believe. In front of him, Chris Lanini is in, but again, you talk about mistakes. Joe Branch, Dylan Lee on pit road as well. I said, is an easy pit lane entry worth those 0.8 of a second, Sean? Apparently the answer was no, which is a testament to guys like Stouffer and Jake Wright, who, by the way, the 7, not taking any chances, very slow on the pit road. It's a testament to Wright and Stouffer, showing you that Harden did not want to take it easy because he knows he needed every single 10th he could get. Problem is, he's not going to win the race now because of it, unless something major happens in his favor, including a caution flag.
Yeah, and Stouffer with a real nice trip down pit lane right there, getting his surface, and that tough break there for Harden. Week in, week out, it just never seems to fall right for him. Tonight, that pit's... We talked about it, and I certainly hope we didn't jinx him. I talked to these guys before the race and promised them I wouldn't put the commentator's curse on anybody, and hopefully didn't do that to Harden.
Jake Wright, the final one of the top 3 to come down pit road. He will do so, slows things up, beautiful. Couldn't have asked for anything more from the driver of the 27. Clean entry onto the pit lane, gets that car down and in. He'll go off to complete service. Tony Sherwood running second at the time. He comes down pit road as well. Blue and Krahula, Robarge, Ryan, Galvin, Connor, Stouffer, and Anzaldo. That is one big pack of guys that are down 1 lap. They'll rejoin the lead lap now that all of your race leaders have come down and gotten service. Jake Wright finishing things off, and spending a lot of time down there on the pit lane for the 27. Got tires and off and away. I think it looked a little bit worse because he had a small connection issue. That car going to get back out on track. Can he maintain the race lead on the apron? No. There go by the race leaders up top side. It'll be taken over by the likes of Krahula.
Harden shuffles back to 11th. He's fighting with Pierre Daigle right up in front of him right now. Just behind him, he's got Chris Lanini on his tail, working hard, and that is quite a battle going on, my friend. Lanini able to get around Ricky Harden right there. Harden's still digging, trying to stay in this thing. He falls back to 12th. Tony Schowen right there in that mix as Daigle gets around him.
So Jake Wright gets back out, and he finds himself right in that pack that I was talking about. He'll be scored in 4th position. Look around him, 5th now at a turn number 4. You got Corey Connor right there, just behind him. Jason Galvin, Chris Stouffer, George Anzaldo. Those are 5 drivers that after 43 laps after the most recent caution flag and through a cycle of pit stops find themselves all condensed within 0.4 of a second of each other. You gotta watch out now. Sure, you got fresh tires, but as Sean, you mentioned earlier, don't take advantage of those fresh tires too much. You abuse them, they go away very, very quickly. And with that many guys that close to each other, you can't afford to have a car get really, really tight on you without expecting it.
Lanini just felt the push, and it was real, and he had to get out of it. And Hassard having to check up. Hassard having quite a run. He's up to 12th. Remember, he was just sitting up 19th here just before that cycle of pit stops. He picked up a few seconds in the pit there with those guys having trouble in front of him. Big Joe looking strong again. back on the charge. He finds himself in 12th place. 11th right now.
And that's the fight just outside of the top 10, 5.8 seconds off of the race lead. The fight that we were talking about with those 5 guys fourth on back is 3.2 seconds off of the top spot. The race, though, for this win is all James Krahula at the moment. Jason Robarge is 9/10 of a second back in second. He is racing with the number 66 of Tommy Ryan. Sean, is there any way these guys can work together, make up that second, or are they just stuck back there?
No, I think they can work it out. I think they can work together now. They're running out of time. I mean, we're getting into the almost last 15 laps of this race. I got to tell you, I'm really impressed with. I know he was frustrated, didn't think he had the speed to compete tonight. But George Anzalo up here right now in 8th, he is really having a great run. I was worried about him. He was really depressed there in the pit area before the race, but he's picked himself up and having a great run. Now, he's riding alone right now, looking up at this pack in front of him here of Galvin and Wright, Corey Connor, and Chris Stouffer all fighting. That is quite a battle. He could take advantage of that fight as he starts to kind of catch that draft and pull up to these guys just a bit.
Is showing another guy that has shown a lot of good speed tonight. 21st in practice, but 10th in Q. That's where he sits now. Chris Stouffer, a spectacular evening for the Fuzzies machine right now. He'll fall one position as Corey Connor going to get a spot around him, but again, that fight will continue on. 15 laps to go, though. From the Kansas Speedway, Krahula setting sail off into the sunset, 1 second and growing from Robarge and Ryan. Ryan to the outside, they're not going to catch him if they continue to fight side by side. Michael Gray puts a pass on them. The team nailed it. Ford entry, a lap down, not for position. But at this point, Sean, I feel like when these guys started going side by side, they've accepted they can't get to the race lead. And now when you start racing side by side, you really abandon all hope of trying to make up those 10s.
Well, look at Krahula. He gets right out of the broadcast booth in the broadcast right before this LionHeart race and comes down onto the track and is putting a whooping on him right now. He has, we talked about it a moment ago about these guys not pulling away from each other. Krahula, though, has found the special line. He's working it right now. Got a death grip on the lead with only 12 laps to go. Sitting pretty. Got to hope for no trouble behind. Would certainly hate to find himself in a restart right here.
Restart can still fly all the way until 4 laps to go. At that point, a caution would end this race. If we get a caution with 6 or more laps remaining, then we still have the opportunity for one final restart from Kansas. Everybody is good on fuel. Fuel and tires not a major factor in this as everybody has just completed service. Second and third now begin to spread out. That was one of the last very, very tight fights inside of the top 5 if you exclude the guys like Stouffer, Connor, Wright, who continue to go at each other for the next 3 spots inside the top 5. And the winner of this trying to get a spot on the podium when it's all said and done. I don't think they're going to be able to catch up to Robarge and Tommy Ryan, though, as those guys sit about 2 seconds in front.
Yeah, and this is a dogfight right now. Stouffer up top right there, really, really close to Corey Connor. And these 3 have been battling for several laps right now. Jake Wright really just watching those 2. Jake making a move to the inside on Corey Connor right now as they come across the start-finish line. Corey Connor closes the door on him right there. Jake Wright having to just let up a little bit and let him have it. Not enough speed to stay in that groove. Stouffer right now leading these guys down the back stretch there. And there goes Corey Connor making a move to the inside. Looks like he's going to pull it off as they come out of 4 and across the stripe. No! Stouffer with the momentum holds on there.
The kind of fight you'd like to see for the race win, that continues. 4th on back. Sean, you've been talking about it. Stouffer on the outside of the racetrack is able to keep that car at full song topside, and he'll make that pass yet again and remain in the number 3 spot. Robarge falls back to 4th. Corey Connor, one more position back, rather. We have Jake Wright in 6th position. May not be on track for a 6th top 5 unless he can get one more spot, but looking pretty safe for another top 10 on the season. It's James Krahula, though, at the front of the field. He has less than 10 laps to go. He would like to add his name to the list of 7 different drivers, Sean, that have won in our opening races. But the big thing that I look at in that is Kind of interesting. We've had a George win, a Jake win, a Jesse, and a Jonathan. Let's add a James to that list. He's almost there.
James, don't call me Jimmy Krahula. Yeah, it could be his night. Would be a special one for him. Corey Connor just getting passed by Jake Wright. Jake Wright getting that position. Corey working his way up. He's trying to get into that battle with Stouffer. He wouldn't mind taking one more position. He's got a safe lead in the points battle. He's had a great run tonight, but can he take one more spot away from the field?
20 drivers still on the lead lap. About half of those are still engaged for fights on the race lead and trying to get a spot on the lead lap for that matter. Crossover going on just outside the top 5. They're side by side for 4th behind. It's Stouffer fighting now right behind Tim to make it extreme headway. Where does Michael Gray come from? Gray continues to be this dark horse. He's a lap down. He's not a factor for position. Started this race 20th. He's 22nd, while not to negative. But the big thing is he's splitting up these lead lap guys. He's causing a headache for a lot of them.
Yeah, and Jake's starting to get away now.
And in the top 5 spot.
Yes, finds himself in the top 5. And like I said, working on Stouffer. He's got a little bit of time left to get to him. I think he can do it.
You get there, you got to get him, you got to make a pass, you got to do that very quickly. Meanwhile, the gap between the top 2 slowly begins to close. It is 7/10 of a second. Tommy Ryan, 7/10 back. It's not a lot on the stat sheet, but if you ride on board with that 66 and if you're behind the wheel, it is a long way. It's agonizing, Sean, because he's so close. You can read what is on the back of that car. You ride on board right now with the 66. You can see that car. You can see how close he is. But because you see how close he is as well, he's just too far away, I think.
Too far away to catch the draft, exactly, and not enough time to get it done. We've only got 2 laps left, Evan.
It'll be 2 to go this time by 3 miles to remain until the checkered flag. At a caution, this would end this race. The fights continue throughout the field. Another 2/100ths of a second off the board that time by for Tommy Ryan. Still trying to do anything that he can to close in, but I don't think it is going to be enough. Comes to take the white flag this time through. They'll make it cleanly to the white flag lap here at Kansas. James Krahula trying to complete the run from 8th to 1st. He's got 1.5 remaining.
And Jake Wright with not enough time left to get it done. Don't think he's going to catch Stouffer.
Wright congratulates Krahula. They're still on the white flag lap. You better not be a fan of curses. They try to finish this without. We've seen single car incidents so far this race. Can he hold on one final turn? Lap traffic, Blumenthal not a factor. And at a turn number 4, checkered flag, James Krahula will win at the Kansas Speedway, taking on the checkered flag. The American Cancer Society Race for the Cure 150. And number 4 goes to Victory Lane with a rather fitting some paint scheme on board. Strong run for Krahula. Add him to the list of winners on the year. Another first-timer.
Yeah, nice run for Krahula, man. He's going to be happy with that. Working hard, you know, and I know James has been sick all week. Poor guy's been down for about 6 days with fever and just the crud, the general crud. Comes in here, probably not really as prepared as most of these guys, and really just manages to put it on everybody. Congratulations to James Krahula on the big win here tonight at Kansas Speedway.
He can handle a mic and he can handle his steering wheel. James Krahula, your winner at the Kansas Speedway. And as he burns it down, Joe Hassert walks it off as he expresses his displeasure with the Team Nailed It drivers after the contact earlier in this race. Recovers for an 11th place finish. The question is, though, what could it have been? Dan Garrett made contact with Hassert coming onto the pit lane. He got hit from behind, comes home with a 14th. He started on pole. Another thing there is, what could it have been if that had not happened? The stars align, though, for James Krahula. It's October 21st, and he brings that Back to the Future 2 Chevrolet into the virtual Gatorade Victory Lane. We'll talk with him and your other podium finishers in just a moment. You're watching the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of the LionHeart IndyCar Series on GSRC. Back live at the virtual Kansas Speedway tonight with the LionHeart IndyCar Series on GSRC. The American Cancer Society Race for the Cure 150 is in the books as we welcome you back up into the virtual broadcast tower. Evan Pasoko, Sean Ambrose still along with you. James Krahula, your winner tonight at the Kansas Speedway, adds his name to a list now 8 strong of winners this season, now through 11 races. With his win here tonight with Unacceptable Racing, they'll take the top 2 spots as we take a look at the Global Sim Racing Channel race results. Just behind Tim, Tommy Ryan, the number 66, comes home in second spot. It's Jason Robarge from No Chance Racing in third. Christopher comes away with a 4th place result. Jake Wright, cash money. His 6th top 5, 9th top 10 at 11 starts. That'll just pad that championship lead coming out of race number 11 with now just 7 to go. It's Tony Showman in 6th to 7th place for Corey Connor representing Team Nailed It. Just behind them, you have Jason Galvin at 8th spot, Ricky Harden in 9th, Pierre Deigel passes 7 cars to round out your top 10.
And then we head on back to 11th, where George Gonzalo fades late right there and winds up just outside of the top 10 there in 11th. Great run for George tonight, though. Big Joe Hassert climbs his way back up to 12th after having that trouble there and falling all the way to the back of the field. He gets up to 12th. Not a bad finish for Big Joe. Chris Lanini, 13th tonight. Dan Guerin, we saw the trouble he had with that pit entry there, and it cost him. He finishes 14th tonight. Joe Branch, 15th. Dylan Lee makes his return and finishes 16th tonight. Pete Edwards, our race sponsor, 17th. Alfred Shepard, 18th tonight. Robert Bluen in 19th, and closing out your top 20 and all the cars left on the lead lap, Vincent Blumenthal, 20th place.
Continuing on through in those top 20, the drivers that finished on the lead lap. 21st is Jack Bogan, a 22nd for Tony Larcock. 23rd was Michael Gray, Ian Adams in 24th, Mark Goodwin in 25th. Tonight it was a 26th place result for Kristen Nelson. 27th to Michelle DeYoung and Brandon Lincoln in 28th spot. Those back 4 drivers' problems very early on took them out of competition late. 28 drivers, the official number of drivers that started in this evening's event. So to get the post-race show kicked off, going to hand things back over to you, Sean, and caught up on the pit lane with the driver that comes home in 14th place tonight with Dan Guerin. Although it started a lot differently. Top 10 car in practice, the man that started us off from pole position and was leading before things all went downhill, and we'll see if you can catch a word with him.
Yeah, I got to bring Dan down in here, and I think we got to activate his mic there or something. I can't. Dan, turn your mic on there for us so we can talk to you real quick, buddy. Uncomfortable silence. So we're moving on. Evan, I'll tell you what. We'll get Dan to fix his mic issues there, and we will throw it back to you. You can go ahead and bring our 3rd place finisher, Jason Robar.
I think we got him now.
Hey, you know what? I stretched just enough that Dan made it in. All right, so Dan, we were talking. Where did it all go wrong, buddy? What happened?
Oh boy. Well, where it went wrong is Joe and I ended up getting together in the pit road there. What happened was everybody's trying to call out their pit in and everything like that, and you can't chime in. And when I finally got chimed in, it was really late, and just by watching replay, he didn't get slowed down enough, but it looked like a racing deal. I mean, we both got going again. I rebounded back up to 14th, so.
Yeah, and he rebounded as well, but it ruined what was going to be a pretty good race for you. There's certainly a great qualifying effort throwing down that 013 there to lead us off tonight, and you wind up with a 14th. Unfortunate, but next week brings a new day and a new track. We head to Texas. How do you like your chances there, Dan?
Well, Texas isn't too bad. I could probably practice there quite a bit more because I'm pretty sure the push is going to be real. But yeah, with the race tonight, though, it was my first pole ever in the league, so I was extremely happy. Jake sent me congratulations. He said that I can have this pole, considering last season that we ended up tying for it, and they gave it to him. So I'm extremely happy to have it this time.
Well, you and the Sinclair tractor machine don't bring a win home for a second year in a row here, but you still put on a great show. Congratulations to you tonight on that pole, and we will see you next week at Texas. Travel safe, my friend.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to throw it to Evan Pasoko, who has caught up with our third place finisher, Jason Robarge. Going to talk about that run they had tonight.
And it was one of the names that was trying to close in late. The gap going to be 1.7 seconds, but for Jason Robarge, 13 spots to the positive to walk away on the podium tonight at Kansas. A great run in round number 11. And Jason, first off, congratulations to you for the very strong run. Started right in the middle of things, and you walk away on the podium. How'd you do it throughout this one that saw only 2 caution flags? A caution flag on a cycle of pit stops that kind of threw a little bit of a curveball into things. What made that car good enough, and how'd you drive it up there?
I have no idea, Evan, man. I was just hoping for a top 15. I kind of struggled all week with the speed, but, to my teammates and great pit stops all night, that's how we got it up there.
Kansas was an exciting race. We knew it would be exciting. 100 laps, really not a whole lot of time, but still this race with an hour in distance. You're talking about 2 sets of pit stops, but the track itself, there's a handful of different lines you can run. And a lot of the time, some guys weren't necessarily agreeing on how they would negate that real estate. What was it like out there from behind the wheel navigating through traffic? You passed 13 cars, so you must have found an effective way.
Yeah, well, they always say the push was real on that one. I just tried to save my tires till the end there. I think that really helped. I think from the beginning, I think some people might have been pushing it too hard. I was just trying to play it safe the whole time, and I think it worked out great.
Well, the good news for you is you pick up after losing 2 spots in the points 1 week ago. This very strong run for you. Going to mark your 3rd top 5 on the season. It'll as well be your 4th top 10. So another strong run, keeping things rolling. One thing that I noticed, though, is there's still a 0 in that win column, and we know how badly you would like to put that number 79 in victory lane. So we look forward to the schedule with 7 to go. We head to another one of these 1.5 intermediate racetracks. However, it could not be very much more different. It'll be the U.S. Armed Forces 150. Same distance, but we're going to be at the Texas Motor Speedway. How do you think you'll fare there?
Oh, I think we're going to do great. I think all of us at No Chance Racing are going to do great. I think we do really well in these big speedways. So I'm looking forward to it. Wide open track. I think it's going to be great.
Well, you guys did the job tonight. You come home at a podium position. Jason, congratulations. The sponsors shout out. So we got you down here on the pit lane. Who do you want to thank?
Yeah, just the guys at No Chance Racing. Jack, George, Pete, Jason. We all help each other out. We all, practice together. We run together. Like I told you before, this is our reign to the top right here.
Well, it's a good one nonetheless, and hopefully for you guys, 7 races to go. We hope that this continues on. We see some strong momentum. Jason, you had a good car tonight. It's the similar circumstances in 1 week's time. We wish you the best luck. We'll see you in the Lone Star State.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Well, Sean, your 3rd place finisher, Jason Robarge, a great improvement throughout the night from 20th in practice. Compare that to the guys that finished in front of him who were 1st and 2nd in practice. He was 16th in qualifying compared to the guys in front of him who qualified inside the top 10 to get a 3rd. It was a great run for Jason Robarge. Going to pass things back to you. Caught up with our 2nd place finisher. You're with Tommy Ryan.
I certainly am. I've caught up with Tommy Ryan, Unacceptable Racing's own Tommy Ryan. Congratulations, buddy. What a great run tonight.
I know, man. I finally got in here and was able to talk to you guys. The first race of the year was at Homestead and freaking lost connection there on the last corner of the last lap. And I finally got I think a top 5 at Sears Point somewhere. And man, these things are hard to get a decent finish in.
Yes, they are. And all you guys seem to prove that week in and week out. Everybody seems to always have their own little bit of trouble. But, man, that's a great night for you. That puts you up a spot in the points, moves you up to 8. You're climbing, buddy. You got positions in front of you now. That was a solid run tonight. How'd the car feel?
Well, obviously, these things are so aerotight, man, after, you heat up the front tires and whatnot. And you just got to run where the other guy's not, and that kind of puts you in bad spots at times. With my teammates, James and Ricky, man, they're the ones that really put the effort in and do the homework on pit strategy and things like that. And I just drive the car and just try to learn as much as I can. I won't have a whole lot of time in this car other than what I've done here. It's a ton of fun, man. But the thing's just tight in traffic, and you just try to find some air to put on the nose of it. If you can get that, you can go to the front.
Well, speaking about your teammates, James in particular, how'd you guys feel about having to work with him tonight, knowing what he's been fighting through over the last 6 days?
He's always got some kind of, well, I won't go into all that, but we all know about James, but we just overlook it. We just keep our distance. We just keep on the radio. We don't shake hands or nothing.
Well, we head to Texas Motor Speedway next week, and that looks to be a fun evening at Texas Motor Speedway. No strangers to that track, I'm sure. How do you think you'll do there?
Honestly, it's going to be another learning curve for me. I've never been at that track at this car. I'll basically have to show up for practice and learn where you got to run to be fast. I typically run stock car stuff, and it's, you're setting up the corners, arcing the way out, and these things, you can do some of that. But if you leave the bottom open, man, they're just going to drive under you. So it's the whole mindset of driving ovals in these cars totally different. So honestly, I think I'll do okay as soon as I learn what I need to do. And hopefully with a little bit of luck, man, I can get in the top 3 again and get another podium.
Right. Well, hey, you know what? Hopefully we'll see you back here soon. Was great talking to you there. Nice run for the Northern Tools machine tonight. Congratulations on a podium finish. Real pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Travel safe. We'll see you in Texas.
All right, man. Appreciate you guys. And obviously, everybody always needs to go visit the Unacceptable Racing Facebook page. We always have all kinds of fun pictures and things to see. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Thank you, Tommy. Great run again. And we will check out that Facebook page. But I think now it's time to set everything aside and let Mr. Bisocco join in with our race winner tonight, Mr. James Krahula. Bring him down here where we're going to take Evan down, I think, the victory lane. Right, Evan?
Great Scott, Sean, you'd never guess it, but it's the Back to the Future 2 Chevrolet of James Krahula making the most of this October the 21st. He's the winner at the Kansas Speedway, comes across the start-finish line to collect the checker first in the American Cancer Society Race for the Cure 150. James, first off, a big congratulations to you, a winner in Season 3 of the LionHeart IndyCar Series. How's it feel?
I'm back from the future, Evan.
I guess.
Yeah. Man, I cannot believe this. This was the most difficult race that we've had all year. And I felt like crap all week, as Sean so nicely alluded to earlier. And
many times.
Many times. I couldn't practice this week. I would get on the computer and I would feel dizzy. And so I don't know how I was able to come in here and come away with this win. I didn't get any practice before today either. I was doing the Amsoil Truck Series broadcast here on GSRC beforehand. I got in and I got maybe a couple minutes in draft practice and try and figure this out. And this track acted different than any other track that I've been to. I've never raced a track like this before. I don't know how I'm here right now, but I'm glad. I don't know how I held on and survived. I wanted to get one of these wins. This feels great, and after the week that I've had, and heck, running Back to the Future on the card today too. How sneaking cool is that? It's just been a roller coaster week, but a great way to put a little exclamation point on it.
Well, that draft practice was probably very effective, I'd say, because you were second in practice. You qualify inside the top 10. You put yourself in a spot to win this race. You know, it was a very interesting race. Kansas is a track where there's a lot of options for a driver to pick and choose from, but really, mistakes was a big thing tonight. We had guys hitting the wall by themselves from the race lead. We had just about everybody spit it out on the pit lane. What was it that you disciplined yourself to be able to not make those mistakes, to find yourself with that gap at the end and hold on?
Man, and it was so weird because we haven't been able to run this close together all season long. Kansas, we did have pack racing here. I know that the finish should not lend itself to that. And by the way, I'm sorry for sneaking up the show there, the show there at the end, guys. But I was happy to take it any way I could get it. But you could not get away from everyone, and it was just like boom, click one lap, and then the bottom was horrible. It was junk, and you had to go to the high side, and I mean, it was just like within like a span of 1 or 2 laps when that happened, and man, it was definitely man, it's just such an interesting race tonight. I don't even know really how to describe how I got here. It was just good pit strategy, and when that yellow came out, we knew that the tires are going to be wearing, and we know how good of a league this is, and that we don't have a lot of yellows. So we said, all right, well, if we want to have a chance, we need to split this run, have the least fuel load as possible, have the freshest tires on for as most of the race as possible. Good pit in, good pit out, and I think that we'll have a chance at it. And thankfully that worked out. So a good pit strategy, keeping out of trouble, knowing where to put your car when you needed to. I mean, those are all things that got me up to the into victory lane tonight. And other than that, I don't know really how to. I really don't know how to explain it. This race was so stressful and so difficult.
Well, Sean suggested that we talk to you before they put that car through TAC because he's not too sure the flux capacitor is going to be able to pass post-race TAC. But
I don't think that's going to pass, man.
As of now, you got the win. The only guys that were at a time were the guys behind you. You're able to hold on by 0.6 of a second. And I know it's cliche to say, and I know you talked about how, it's strange how the night came together for you, and sometimes something's meant to be. But now the question is, you have a win. When do you get the next one? You only get 6 days to basket it. You guys go right back to work. We'll be back at another intermediate track. We'll be in Sean's home state, though, at the Texas Motor Speedway. What's the outlook going into there besides maybe trying to get a little bit more practice time to settle yourself?
Sean's home track and my home track as well.
Yes.
Grew up 15 minutes away from there. Still very much within driving distance. Been there for the IndyCar race earlier this year, so I've probably seen more IndyCar races at TMS than I have any other sporting event out there. So I want to do well at my home track, but as for actual racing there, that I don't know. So, but I didn't know about Kansas either, and we still wound up in victory lane. So, heck, let's keep going out there. But yeah, led the most laps, no incidents. Got the win. I mean, that's what we need to do. We need to keep chipping away. Yeah, pretty good night. We need to keep doing that if we want to give Jake a run for his money here. And he's still got a big lead, but it's a little bit shorter this week. We still got some more. So watch out, youngster. I'm coming for you.
Well, we're taking a look at that number 4 Chevrolet. Before we let you go, sponsors and shout-outs, people on the car, who powered you to this one?
Of course, the Unacceptable Racing. Go like us on Facebook. # plug the page. Thank you, Joshua King. I did not forget you. Go like us on Facebook at unacceptableracing.com. Richardson Bike Mart. Back to the Future. That flux capacitor. I'm gonna run that on a car every week. Maybe that's my secret to doing well here. And guys, thank you so much for everything that y'all do over here at GSRC. It's not an easy job. I've especially been learning that here the last few weeks, and I appreciate everything that you guys do week in and week out. Thank you to the great league over here at LionHeart. Again, fantastic racing here week in and week out. These guys put on a fantastic league. I can't thank them enough. Thank you, guys.
Well, James, we want to thank you for sticking around and chatting. Again, congratulations. Enjoy this one, and we'll see you next Wednesday when you guys go back to work. Good luck in Texas.
Woo! We finally got that victory. Later, guys.
Johnny got the job done. The paint scheme, the flux capacitor, and all. A winner at Kansas, and gets the job done in the Richardson Bike Mark Chevrolet. A big win for James Krahula.
Yeah, I think James is starting to feel better.
Winning will do that to you, believe it or not.
Yeah, it's amazing what a win will do. And moving up 2 spots in the championship, finds himself in second. Still 129 points back, but boy, feeling awful good, obviously. Congratulations to him. And, yes, his home track, my home track next week will go to Texas, and he'll have a shot there to maybe make it 2 in a row. Certainly riding the wave right now by his reaction for sure. Again, congratulations to James Krahula and the rest of the LionHeart Racing Series tonight. Put on a great show for us here on a Wednesday night.
And that does things for this October the 21st. James Krahula, the Back to the Future machine, respectively so, your winner this evening at Kansas. And with that, we put a bow on round number 11. 7 will remain in the Season 3 title fight, all of which you'll find on the Global Sim Racing channel. A big thanks to the stream and equipment involved in tonight's broadcast: iRacing.com, Motorsport Simulations, XSplit, the Audio-Technica Corporation, Avery Media USA. Krahula said it, Ryan said it, Robar said it, we'll say it as well. A huge thanks to the LionHeart administration team, George Anzaldo, Jesse Vincent, Tony Lurcock, the guys that really powered this, and as well all the other drivers. A big thanks to them. Another big thanks to Dougie Beard for providing us with our camera sets. Music provided, as always, Eric Ackelman and Casey Lalonde. Their information is up on the screen as well. You can stay up to date with everything GSRC online at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on Twitter at GSR Channel, through Facebook as well at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. You'll take a look, a lot of exciting things to come in the next week on GSRC. But Sean, we all look to the U.S. Armed Forces 150, and you know a little bit about the venue where we'll be next week.
Oh, I certainly do, brother. We will be at Texas Motor Speedway in the town of the Cow, Fort Worth, Texas, next Wednesday night, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, October 28th. Don't miss it, folks. Texas Motor Speedway always brings out a special brand of IndyCar racing. It won't be any different next Wednesday night. Can't wait to see you there, Evan.
And we will, same time, same place. It'll be Wednesday, October the 28th at 10:45 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be on air. We look forward to seeing you then. Until next time, on behalf of the Global Sim Racing Channel and the team tonight, for myself, Evan Pasoko, for Sean Ambrose, and as well for our director, Amjad Yambed, we again thank you so much for tuning in. Congratulations, it's James Krahula, your victor at Kansas. We bid you farewell from America's Heartland, and we will see you in the Lone Star State of Texas next Wednesday night. Good night.